Greetings everyone and welcome to a milestone for me because this is the last re-review. There will probably be some team building videos in the near future where we will talk about the progress of these characters in the meta over the next little bit and how team building has evolved and changes and, just top level teams. We'll talk about all of that stuff in future videos. But in terms of the re-reviews, this is the last one. And I've saved the easiest one for last because Mustadio's kit, before we take a look at an upgrade, let's talk about 2 points of contention that I think are really important for evaluation of this character. Because number one, this is an MR, and this is a gacha MR. Think about the last time we had a MR enter gacha. Not Mustadio, but it feels kind of close. It's well and truly out of most people's minds. It just doesn't happen anymore. If MRs are added to the game, they are added through events. And even then, that has completely dried up since Selection Quest is long since done at this point. So yeah. And trying to get an MR in this day and age, trying to draw it for any other reason other than completion's sake, or just because you like the character, is absolutely insane and totally out of left field. Like, this is just not a character that you would pull for. Like, it's a character that you get as a part of pulling for something else. So Mustadio has to be really good because in my evaluation for this character, he's a pretty foregone relic at this point, but as foregone as FF14. It's just been so long that it's really hard to evaluate the character by any means or standards. Because Gafgarian, you can get him in by just playing the game and just like getting the event medals, and you can just max him with very little trouble. Kind of thing. Mustadio is not that case. Mustadio you also need to get shards from, and that's even more of a pain to try and put like an MR. And like, basically I'm just saying that I am kind of have a bias about just the way that they brought back this unit. Like, you look at the FF Tactics event and it's fantastic for the URs and GAF for the reasons of how you can get them. Like, they're even giving away a 120 UR of your choice. So you can choose Orlando, you can choose Agrius, you can choose Ramsey, Delita. Get them 120, basically fully maxed, and that is pretty crazy. That's pretty generous for this game to do. It's from like historical perspective. But Mustadio is just not that. So when I'm evaluating him today, I'm evaluating him extra hard. He also just doesn't have really any special equipment from the event. Ragnarok doesn't work for him. Agrius' sword doesn't work for him. And Sortilege, while it's nice to give, I guess, an extra move for a turn, it's not really what a ranged character wants nowadays. Ever since Alaya, that's just not the way that ranged characters are really built anymore. So I don't think that's generally good. I do understand that people will bring up the low cost stuff, and the low cost stuff, sure. But if you were trying to fit this guy on a team, you'd probably be trying to be putting him with 2 100 cost characters, which would be 260. And given that Agrius and Orlando are both 80 costs, put it with a 100 cost, I think that is looking stronger at this point than this guy. But maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's see what we have. So first off, Dream ability is attack plus 30%, critical damage of 20. Alright, we're already painting a picture that this is a guy who is going to want to hit criticals. So what else can he do? Multiburst has basically been improved to have a height difference bonus of +1. Well, I think that is a huge net positive for Gunner and Gunner-based ability. It's not that insane. Evil Heart Seal. After reducing a certain percentage of the single target resistance, damage large is dealt. There is a chance the target will be petrified and unable to take any action. If the target has darkness, don't move, don't act. the activation rate is increased. Activation rate of petrification, apologies, is also increased. So if we're looking at this, it is a 50 times shred, which is, 50% off. Really good deal. I love it whenever the PSN has a 50% off on a brand new game. And we're also looking at an increased chance of 10% if the target has one of the following for his Petrify status effect. His Petrify status effect didn't have a huge percentage, but is an offbeat kind of weird inclusion since petrification is not something we regularly talk about. It definitely could be a really nasty surprise. 10% extra chance does go potentially a little bit of a ways to make it more valuable, but I don't think it's any kind of insane, crazy buff that we're seeing here. I think it's just kind of okay for an ability that felt okay before. I definitely like considering that a bunch of his abilities are single target abilities, that he has that single target shred, and in combination with other units that are using single target damage, that is a valuable proposition for this guy to hit that target before the other characters get in, which should be what a range unit is trying to do. His ability Aim, which is a support skill, has been improved first. So ranges give him range +1 and jump +1. It also now gives survive even if taking fatal damage when an HP is over 90%. So it basically gives him a undispellable conditional clause. As stat-wise, this guy is going to get flattened every single time by any current DPS, and especially the strong current wind DPSs. So I don't think it would be unfair or too mean to say that ability will get activated, and if he has a good source of healing, it could potentially be reactivated a bunch. But it does depend on a healer then, since I don't think this character will have enough HP restore to get there, even if he did have some kind of really good source of healing. Alright, Blast attack up, his other support skill, which gives more firepower, now also has defense penetration rate on it as well. That's good. That increases his power a fair bit, and it is 40% defense penetration, which, sure, most characters are focused on slash and magic base, so there is a possibility for a gunner to get a few nice shots off and maybe a little bit of extra damage. After that, Power Shot Pierce basically has been changed, that has a chance of making it harder for you to get hit. So it also has a status effect on it now of darkness. And that's a 25% chance. So on a piercing damage attack, I mean, you're getting extra missile resistance penetration of 30 for 3 turns, getting fairly good damage, and a 25% chance of blind. That's not bad overall. Piercing damage abilities do have pretty long legs for how much they can get done, so sure. Darkness, I mean, it is a potential that you would want that to happen, just because it will give a higher chance for petrification, and if you petrify someone, well, game is more than likely over for that character. Alright, and his last ability, Rapid Fire, significantly lowers target's evasion rate for 3 turns and then deals 3 consecutive damage, and its range has also been increased from 4 to 5. I think this is fair and nice. Having a decreased evasion rate of 50 is a considerable chunk and could have value if evasion ever becomes too much of a problem anymore. Right now on JP, Fire Evade is a thing, but it doesn't seem to be the most widespread at this point, so it's hard to say that it's extremely valuable. And of course, betting on future evasion characters, sure, it will happen at some point, but we all kind of hope it never will, right? So yeah, let's get down to brass tacks, there is some good stuff here that makes Mustadio more capable of dealing status effects and some new status effects. Also, there's a fair bunch in his kit that pushes him to be able to be a fairly successful ranged damage dealer. If he has defense penetration, he can up missile attack resistance penetration, and so on. So that's good. And he can do single target shred. There is value here. But outside of cost limited events, unlike the other UR tactics characters, which do seem to have high promise of being very, very competitive, which is a miracle in itself, Mustadio is not that character. I don't see any reason why you would choose him over a UR range character, provided that there is not some kind of cost restriction. That is just the final word I have to say about it. And right now on JP, there aren't many people choosing many ranged options anyway. So that kind of just tells you everything you need to know. Mustadio is a interesting splash-based character that is quite capable of possibly changing the tide via status effects or damage or support of destroying single target resistance before your other damage dealers get in. I acknowledge all of this, but without exclusive equipment in this event, it makes it harder for him to recommend. And on top of that, just the sheer annoyance of what he represents, of this relic of a bygone era of pulling MR characters, of farming limited MR shards, it just doesn't feel good nowadays. So yeah, as my cat has decided that the fan needs to be at full power, I think that's basically everything that we need to say in this video. Mustadio, a really interesting splashable character if you already have him built, but not a character I would recommend for most people to try and get and max before the event, because no! So thank you so much for watching, take care, see you later.